Shalom, brothers and sisters from wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to today's episode, and we are super excited that you have found time to engage with us and, of course, grow with us in this new episode. And from last time's episode, we were able to look at Esau and Jacob meeting, and of course there are a few insights that we talked about, especially the aspect of Esau breaking the yoke after he's tired, and we were talking about forgiveness and how actually it transformed these people's lives, that people who were meant to fight until death, they became great of friends. And of course we see Esau coming to embrace his brother and weeping and crying tears of joy because of seeing him. This actually is approximately 20 years after he had gone actually to Aram. Now in this beautiful chapter, chapter 34, the Bible has given it a title, Dinah and Shechemites. Bible records, now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, had born the daughter of Leah had born to Jacob, went out to visit women of the land. When Shechem, son of Hamor the Hivitite, the ruler of that area, saw her, he took her and raped her. His heart was drawn to Dinah, daughter of Jacob. He loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her. And Shechem said to his father Hamor, "Get me the girl as my wife." When Jacob heard that his daughter Dinah had been defiled, his sons were in the field with his livestock. So he did nothing about it until they came home. Then Shechem's father Hamor went out to talk with Jacob. Meanwhile, Jacob's sons had come in from the field. As soon as they heard that what had happened, they were shocked and furious, because Shechem had done an outrageous thing in Israel by sleeping with Jacob's daughter, a thing that should not be done. But Hamor said to them, "My son Shechem has his heart set on your daughter. Please give her to him as his wife. Intermarry with us. Give us your daughters and take our daughters for yourselves. You can settle among us, and the land is open to you. Live in, trade in it, and acquire property in it." Then Shechem said to Dinah's father and brothers, "Let me find favor in your eyes. I will give you whatever you ask. Make the price for the bride and the gifts I am to bring as great as you like. I will pay whatever you ask. Only give me the young woman as my wife." The Bible records in verse 13, because their sister Dinah had been defiled, Jacob's son replied deceitfully as he spoke to Shechem, his father Hamor. They said to him, "We can't do such a thing. We can't give our sister to a man who is not circumcised. That would be disgrace on us. We will enter into an agreement with you on one condition, only that you become like us by circumcising all your males. Then we will give you our daughter and take your daughters for ourselves. We will settle among you and become a people among you. But if you will not agree to be circumcised, we will not take our sister and go." Their proposal seemed good to Hamor and his son Shechem. The young man, who was the most honored of all his father's family, lost no time in doing what they said, because he was delighted with Jacob's daughter. So Hamor and his son Shechem went to the gate of their city to speak to the men of the city. These men are friends towards us, they said. Let them live in our land and trade in it. The land has plenty of room for them. We can marry their daughters and they can marry ours. But the men will agree to live with us as one people only on one condition, that our male be circumcised. And they themselves are, as they themselves are, won't their livestock, won't be their livestock, their property, and all their other animals become ours? So let us agree so to their terms, and they will settle among us. All the men who went out of the city gate agreed with Hamor and Shechem, and every male in the city was circumcised. 3 days later, while of them were still in pain, 2 of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their sword and attacked them unexpectedly, killing every male. They put Hamor and his son Shechem to sword and took Dinah from Shechem's house and left. The sons of Jacob came upon the dead bodies and looted the city where the sister had been defiled. They squeezed the flock and herds and donkeys and everything else of theirs in the city and out of the field. They carried off all their wealth and all their women and children, taking as plunder everything in the house. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "You have brought trouble to me by making an abnomious to the Canaanites and Perizzites, the people living in the land. We are few in number. If they join forces against me, attack me, I and my household will be destroyed." But they replied, Should he have treated our sister like a prostitute? Brothers and sisters, such a beautiful chapter. This story is not a good story, and at the same time is a very good story, because it is not good because it starts on a bad note, because this guy decides to rape this woman, and of course, as we know, rape is not something good. And when this news comes to the father, he decides to hold his anger because his sons were not around. When sons come, they find this Mzee had come to speak to their father, and he says, "Please give me your daughter. My son wants this woman to be the wife." But the son says, "We cannot try to do this, but we can maybe try if you accept a condition that you're going to give you, that all your men in the city will have to be circumcised." And actually, because of love, things that men do for love, Shechem and his father went back to the city and convinced all the men. And the men said, Sawa, we will get circumcised. If they will accept to intermarry with us and trade with us for the sake of us being circumcised, we will do this. But they never knew what was awaiting them. So after they had circumcised 3 days down the line, after these guys knew that these guys were in deep pains, of course, Simeon and Levi decided to have a good revenge for their sister. And they go to the city, they kill all the male. And actually, they took flock with them, they took their sister with them and came back. And actually, Jacob is here, or complaining and saying, "You've brought trouble in my family. If these guys actually gang up together, they'll come kill us." But the brothers say, "Should he have treated our sister as a prostitute?" Now, guys, something interesting here about conditions, or conditions. When these guys actually were maybe asking for this condition, they were so sure maybe that these men would not have bought into it. And look at it. It is like you sending me into a city and telling me to convince all that city to do whatever you are commanding me. And that was next to impossible, because of course they expected that these people will not accept. And of course they would have won. They would have been left with their sister, nothing much. Maybe if it is a matter of revenge, they would have looked for maybe Shechem and the father. But as you see, actually when Shechem and the father went, the Bible explains Shechem as the young man actually who was most honored in his father's family. And I think this actually meant that he had power, that he could influence people. But look at what these young people do. When these people had been circumcised in their second day, actually, when the pain is too much, they decided to come and actually declared war against them. And of course, they killed them. This was not a fair battle. The same as it was not a fair battle for Shechem to rape Dinah. But of course, this is what this young man feels like settling with. And of course, just a few insights to pick out from this. I think if you ask me, it would be a good thing if we decide to have war to be standing on fair grounds. Two, if we make promises, or if we make demands, let us ensure that actually we need what we need. Because it was so simple that these guys, because they had obeyed what these guys had commanded them, then they would have lived actually in a good relationship. But see, this chapter ends by his father actually feeling troubled by the fact that these people might actually go against him in terms of what actually is thinking in terms of war, and in terms of actually him actually attacking them and the family. And Jacob has a fear because he has his households, actually they are few in number, and they could kill actually all of them. Anyway, may God help us to be able to be people who can keep promises, people who can keep our words. If we give conditions to people, we be people actually who can stand with our conditions when they are met, because it is only in this that we can be tested to be people of integrity, people of ethics, people who understand who their God is. And a good example is God. Whatever he promises, whatever covenant he decides to make, of course he follows it actually to ensure that it comes to pass the way he had promised. And this is a bad example of people who did not know how to keep their promises and conditions. And of course, you see what it turned out to be. May God bless us. May God be with us. May God actually make his face shine upon you. And may he bless you in all things. Shalom, brothers and sisters.